From our studios in Atlanta, this is CBT News.
Steve Greenfield is the founder and CEO of CompetitorPro and joins us now on CBT News for the very first time. Steve, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on.
It's great to be here.
It's great to talk about what you're doing at CompetitorPro. You've been involved with auto retail for more than 20 years now. Give our dealers some background of how you started, because you had some nice stints at Manheim and Auto Trader here in Atlanta.
Yeah, so I actually started off up in Toronto, where I'm from originally, selling software to car dealers. This is back in '99. So I quickly came down to the US. They asked me to move down to Atlanta for the corporate office, and had a great run at Manheim, including a while when I was overseeing international expansion for Manheim, and we were structuring joint ventures in countries like China and Dubai and into Turkey. But in 2010, I had the opportunity to move over to sister company AutoTrader.com. Report directly to the CEO and oversee acquisitions. So that was the year, if you remember, that we acquired Kelley Blue Book, we acquired VAuto,
right.
We acquired HomeNet and VIN Solutions. It was a crazy time. We spent almost $1 billion in a matter of 14 months. And crazy time for Cox, crazy time for us at Auto Trader. And then my last 2 years at Auto Trader was overseeing the product management function and all advertising products that we sold to dealers, to OEMs, and to consumers. And then I left Auto Trader, or Cox Automotive at that point, back in early 2014.
So obviously a diverse background. Let's talk about your years at Auto Trader and Manheim and how those years prepared you for your own business and how you tackled issues that dealers have to deal with on a daily basis.
So you're going to think this is a little weird, but I've accumulated over the years over 200 URLs. So as I sat in my office in these various roles, I'd sit there and dream up crazy ideas, and I'd check Google, as we all do, to see if it's available,
right.
If anybody else was doing that thing. I'd go out there and go to GoDaddy, I'd register the URL, and then I'd tuck it away in an Excel spreadsheet. And the way I always looked at it, it's kind of my insurance policy, right? If I ever was to leave the corporate world, and I had no intention of doing so, I loved it, I always had all these ideas in the background. And it's funny now to look at that chronology of all those different URLs, a lot of really bad ideas. But it did get me mentally prepared that if I ever was to take the step into entrepreneurship, that I'd be ready to pull the trigger and go.
Well, that's kind of how it gets started. So let's talk about some of the ideas that you came up with that stuck. You just were awarded the winner of the 2017 Driving Sales Innovation Cup. Tell us a little bit about VINFactor and then what it does for dealers, and then talk about the award. I'm sure this was exciting.
Yeah, so we had an opportunity. I mean, I love Jared Hamilton and everything he does with driving sales. Had the opportunity to be up on stage last Monday, a week ago, and actually unveil this new product that we've got live on stage. And it's been very well received so far. We've had a lot of inbound interest, not only from dealers, but partners who might be resellers or folks that are interested in our data, et cetera. And I'm really excited and invigorated with the new product.
All right, well, let's talk about the award and then VINFactor. Winning the award obviously is something that you put into your company, saying, hey, all this hard work, we invested in this. So tell us how dealers can get on board with the VINFactor and how it helps them sell cars.
Yeah, great. So the timeline here is at NADA this year, we launched our CompetitorPro product, right? And really what that helps a dealer understand is, how am I doing in my local market? They can get in and literally configure other dealerships and see, how are they doing on inventory, pricing, are they stocking cars that are turning faster than me, and get that level of granular insight locally. But we had the same objections coming up time and time again, right? Dealers would say to me, tell me exactly what's wrong and tell me what to do. The last thing I need is another dashboard, like a hole in my head, to have my employees remember the password, have to log in, when we've already got all these software tools that we're already using.
That's exactly right, because the thing is, you have to sort of break through all the clutter of what's out there already that dealers are dealing with.
Yeah, so I would say, if you go into any new car manager or used car manager, look at their machine. They've got at least 7 tabs open, and that's their CRM, it's their DMS, it's usually their website backend, it might be digital marketing, it might be their inventory and pricing tool, and they're sitting there literally, if you watch what they do day to day, they're toggling back and forth between these, literally cutting and pasting VIN numbers. And the industry's talked for a long time about a single sign-on, where I would log in once and it would share information, but as long as they're buying tools from different vendors, that's never going to happen.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because speaking to dealers over the last 15 to 20 years, we know that there are several things that they dislike, buying the wrong vehicles and overpaying for vehicles. But how does VINFactor help in the sense that dealers want their guys selling cars? And if they're at their desk all day, maybe that doesn't happen. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So great question. So over the last months, I've been the one demoing dealers, hearing these objections, and it's finally struck me one day. So I don't know if you ever used a browser plugin in your web browser, but there are a number of that are well known now. And what they do is it's a little bit of software that resides within the browser, and then it interacts with the web page that you're on. So I'm sitting in my office late one night here, and I asked the developers that I sit with, guys, how hard is it to recognize when there's a VIN number on a web page? And they said, that won't be hard at all. So I said, okay, stop everything else. We're going to go deep and prepare for this driving sales conference, and we're going to build this new solution. So really, at its highest level, what it is, it's a piece of software that resides 24/7 in the background and doesn't do anything until such time as you're on a page with a VIN number. Now, that can be your trade-in tool, that can be Mannheim or Odessa.com, that can be on your own website. Anything at all, as long as there's a VIN number on a page, it lights up the VIN and the little icon lights up in the upper right-hand corner. And then suddenly you can click on that VIN, we pop into action, and prevent the dealer from ever making a bad decision. So what it does effectively for that VIN, it brings it back into your local market, gives you this context, recent sales, current inventory, attributes on that car that I should be looking out for. The example I used on stage in Vegas a week ago was literally I'm talking to dealers that are frustrated that their trade appraisers are taking an Audi A4s without navigation, right? They make this mistake and it's like a $2,000 deduct, right? Plus there's no retail demand in their local market. So now that car has to go wholesale to auction and they lose $1,000 or $2,000. Well, what we do is we call it instantly and warn the dealer, hey, this car doesn't have navigation. So no longer will their trade appraiser make mistakes. They'll know what's on the car before they've actually walked around it because we're going to alert them. And not only that, but we want to help them with the traits and vehicle attributes on that VIN that help them get more value. So if they have a choice and they can choose between the yellow Corvette and the red, which one's going to get them more margin? When they're making a split-second decision in the auction lane, right? Should I buy the manual transmission or the automatic? Well, we can bring it back into their local market and allow them to make that split-second decision, which will help them turn the car faster, but also make more margin per unit.
Well, and you're taking out regret.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well
because
put,
you
well
had a,
put.
because you had a situation with the Cadillac Escalade. You talk about on this on your LinkedIn blog that's very timely, by the way, and relevant with what's going on now in today's market. But you know, someone had a regret because they ordered it and then someone else, the dealership, ordered it or something like that?
Yeah, so that actually happened here in Atlanta. So I was having a lunch with a used car manager who had gone to the auction the day before, bought this great 2016 Cadillac Platinum, fully loaded, perfect car for Atlanta, as you know, right? Brings it back, buys it well below guidebook, so thinks they're getting a home run on this car. It wasn't until he got it back to his lot that he realized, talking to the guys there, they've already got an identical unit on the lot with lower mileage that's been sitting there for 60 days. And this is the killer part, the retail price on that unit they already had was less than what he just paid at auction.
Oh boy.
So the guidebook and all other tools would say, this is a great car for Atlanta, you should buy this car. But he didn't know, and shame on him, but he didn't know that this car in particular, he already had one in stock. And we can prevent dealers from ever making this kind of costly mistake again. So the hope is, on the upside, we're helping them stock better and make those split-second decisions where they can get more gross. But I think, you know, as this plays out, it's going to be more important to prevent them from ever making bad mistakes that are costly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You mentioned earlier in 1999 you did this, this, and this. Obviously now in 2017, heading into 2018, you would do things differently, obviously. So as you see technology changing every industry, some more than others, can you see into the future? Let's talk about how things are changing, because you guys will change something, then all of a sudden, 3 months later, here comes something else, that shiny new tool, that shiny new process. So what do you tell dealers, you know, looking forward in 6 months or a year from now? You sort of have to play psychic, don't you?
Yeah, so it's a good question. You know, I intentionally stay away from any mention of artificial intelligence or machine learning or big data, because I think, frankly, those buzzwords are used too much and they're lost on the dealer, right? Dealers need practicality. Right. What they need is like, help me make my decisions better, help me improve my processes. You know, smart dealers I talk to, I get them on the phone, in the first 2 minutes, they say, are you gonna help me make more money? Or are you gonna help me save costs? right? They're focused on things that are practical, they're going to drive the bottom line. I don't need a fancy new gizmo. I mean, we all walk around NADA every year and see 300 new vendors out there trying to vie for dealers' pocketbooks, right? It's a lot of noise in the space. I'd rather be very practical and say, look, we're going to give you something, and by the way, VIN-Factor's free. So we're going to give you this thing for free. Put it on your employees' machines. Let it run in the background. Let's protect your employees from making bad decisions, but also, kind of enhance the IQ of the employees. So I don't want to talk about how we're going to do predictive analytics and machine learning, but I would like to say, how can we augment the decision-making ability of your employees so they are smarter, they make better decisions, maybe faster decisions, but better decisions that are less costly. But ideally, at the end of the month, we should all be measured by one thing: do we drive more profit for dealers?
Exactly. Faster, better, low cost, buzzwords that dealers love hearing. Steve Greenfield, again, the founder and CEO of CompetitorPro. We appreciate you joining us, man. Great stuff. All the best to VIN-Factor here in the future.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you for watching the official news source of the retail automotive industry, CBT News.